Hello. So you catch me here in this incredibly, almost perversely casual manner of positioning, because I am here to do the, bear with me. Much better. Doctor Who tag type thing. The tag of which was bestowed upon me by Catcher Caroline.
I would like to tag Alex Keane from the 23rd Joker,
who tagged me very nicely really too long ago. I really should have done this sooner, but I didn't because I'm a knob. So, sorry about that, but I'm doing it now, so that's good, I guess. Yeah. So, anyway, tag type thing. I'm doing it now, and what are the questions? Well, let's start answering them. So the first one is... Well, start with a real biggie. Okay, so who is my favourite Doctor? Well, considering that I didn't start watching Doctor Who until the reboot age, because that's just the age that I was whenever it, began. How old was I at the time? I was about 12 when Doctor Who was rebooted by Russell T Davies, and so my first Doctor was Christopher Eccleston, and I knew of more than anyone else Tom Baker being the Doctor beforehand, because at the time I knew him from doing the narration for Little Britain. Britain, 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 and so on and so forth. And I knew that he played the Doctor because I knew him from doing the narration on Little Britain, and it was just one of those things that I knew about. But I didn't know about Doctor Who that much, outside of, the Daleks and that kind of thing. So, I didn't start watching Doctor Who and know that much about it until the reboot. Christopher Eccleston was the first one, then there was David Tennant, obviously. Then after that, Matt Smith, and now Peter Capaldi. But who would I say is my favourite Doctor? I don't know. I feel bad just choosing just one, because a lot of the Doctors, each one has their merits. I mean, Tom Baker, when he was the Doctor, was really endearingly mad-eyed and crazy, and, it was really entertaining to watch. He seemed so alien, which was, fitting. And then Matt Smith did something very much in that vein when he became the Doctor, and that was really enjoyable. Hell, the sonic screwdriver I even have is Matt Smith's one, But, I don't know. I really like Peter Capaldi's one at the moment that he's playing, just because of how straight to the core of the Doctor that he is, how blunt and how truthful he is. That's even the correct way to talk about him, but you see what I mean, I think. So, I guess I'll say Peter Capaldi, because he's really, really good, isn't he? He is. So yeah, next question. I have really had to think about this question, my answer to this question, for a long time, trying to figure out exactly which story is my favourite out of all the ones that I've seen, mind you. And I mean, I like Midnight very much because of how claustrophobic and how low-key and lo-fi it is, but also how primordially terrifying it is, just of the simple act of someone repeating something that you're saying at the same time as you, and how that goes completely out of hand. That's Doctor Who in a nutshell for you, how it can turn the most ordinary of stuff into the most terrifying of stuff when Doctor Who is on form, So there's that. Blink is the obvious one. Everyone loves Blink. Even if they don't like Stephen Moffat doing Doctor Who now, everyone still loves Blink. And so that's a given. But there is also, a story during Amy and Rory's time as being the companions of Matt Smith, it might have been in The Doctor's Wife, maybe. I can't remember if it was that story. It was the story that might have been written by Neil Gaiman, where it was definitely when Michael Sheen was playing the voice of an evil thing that was taken over the TARDIS and trapped Amy and Rory inside. And it was playing mind games with them. And that did a really interesting thing where it trapped Amy in a hallucination where she imagined that Rory had been trapped, again in another scenario where he was waiting for her for decades, if not centuries, and then it showed this hallway filled with all his scrawlings and scribblings in blood on the wall saying, "Hate Amy, kill Amy," and it was a really striking and scary image. And then, that really does strike a nerve. I always remember that. And the Vincent van Gogh, or Van Gogh episode, that is always a really emotionally striking episode. And in the current series that just went by, I really liked Listen, how it gave you a little, very fascinating glimpse into the Doctor's psychology of, from when he was a Time Lord's version of a child, and how it, delved into what drives him as doing the stuff that he does. And what was there was another one in the last series that was really, really good, and it was the one involving the two-dimensional, creature evil thing that managed to manipulate our third dimension into two-dimensional things. And it was such a weird, abstract idea, but it was really effective, the way that it turned everything just from 3D to 2D. You say it like that, it doesn't sound that scary, but visually, it's really like, whoa, man, whoa, Keanu Reeves, So, that was good. And also, it's priceless for the image of having, the Doctor in a tiny little TARDIS, and him still being the regular size on the inside, and having to reach his hand out through the door and pick the TARDIS up with his hand and turn the TARDIS in his hand into a fucking, crab or something to escape an oncoming train. That's a great image, So I really like that. So I don't have a definitive favourite Doctor Who storyline. I have many, but yeah. So there is that. So the next question is, please, editing, do that thing where you say what it is now. For God's sake. I guess Rose. I mean, she was the very first companion that in the rebooted series she was the guide for the audience to be taken into the world of the Doctor, for those who hadn't already been in the world of Doctor Who beforehand, and that was a lot of people, hence why the reboot even existed in the first place. So, maybe Rose. I really did like Amy when she was the companion, although as I learned more about the show going in and what Tumblr said about her and more in-depth analysis of Stephen Moffat's writing of female characters, I did realise that she wasn't that great a character as she could have been. And I did like Rory a lot, Rory was brilliant, Clara is obviously Clara is, obviously was the most thinly written companion of all, although in the last series they did address that and try and flesh her out a bit more, and they did mostly succeed, which is good. Martha was a very good companion. Donna was brilliant. Maybe Donna. I mean, she is Catherine Tate after all, so there's something to be said about that. I don't know. I'm really indecisive, as you probably couldn't tell whatsoever. But yeah, that's just, I can't decide for shit. But still, we soldier on, Geronimo, Allons-y, and all of that. Next question, of course. Do not make me use this again, you bastard. As I've already mentioned a couple of times in this video already, that I started watching Doctor Who from the reboot onwards. So it would have been the very first episode, Rose, with Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, in that. So that was the first episode, Doctor Who story, that I watched officially. Yeah. That was definitely the easiest question to ask so far, so what's next? I suppose Matt Smith's TARDIS I liked the most. In as much as his later TARDIS, the one that transitioned into being Peter Capaldi's TARDIS, is a bit very dark and all spindly and movie and dimly lit and stuff, and I don't like it as much as Matt Smith's one, which was all very charming and very quaint, with all the having to move around the dial and the console, and having to twiddle all the little knobs, and it's all much more brightly lit, and wasn't that far removed from 9 and 10. How do you say it grammatically correctly? 9 and 10's TARDIS consoles, So maybe Matt's, but earlier Doctors had some interesting TARDIS interior designs, but I'll go for Matt Smith because reasons. So next question, of course, because this is the thing that we do. I do kind of wish that I could say the Daleks, because they are the most famous, the most iconic Doctor Who villain of all time, bar none. But God, they get really annoying with too much exposure to them. Like, really, I know that the creation of them had a really good basis in making them based on Nazis and stuff. That's the kind of mindset that went into making of them and the backstory behind them. But, God, they talk for too long. If there's too many of them talking at once, it's just so grating. And I know that maybe that's a blasphemy against Doctor Who to even think it, but I must be honest, it's just, come on, surely I can't be alone in thinking that it's just so, we are the Daleks, we talk like this all the time, we never stop, and if we go on, we go very louder and louder, like, shut the fuck up. I know you're supposed to be annoying because you're evil, but just, so, can't say the Daleks. Sorry, can't. But who would I say is my favourite monster / villain? The current version of the Master was magnificently batshit crazy, which is something you expect from the same woman that brought us such a wonderful character as Sue White in Green Wing. So that was a lot of fun, but other than that version of the Master, Weeping Angels, maybe, but then again, Stephen Moffat did kind of run their scariness into the ground through overuse, because that's Moffat for you. So, the silence, there was something very, about them that was like, oh, that's creepy, because the fact that they A, look like the Wilhelm scream, and B, you see them, and then if you look away just once, you forget all about ever seeing them. And, that's really scary. And also the fact that there was that device of the Ponds and the Doctor and all that, marking their skin every time that they saw a silent, or silence, if it's plural. And then they would keep finding all these markings on their hand, and they were like, I don't remember doing this, oh god, there's still more, I keep seeing them, but I don't remember seeing them. It's, that would be freaky, and it's admittedly very clever on Moffat's part with the creation of them. So, but then again, to get deep a bit, probably nothing is as scary a monster or villain as whatever the Doctor imagines a monster or villain might be that he has to fight on his next adventure, as is delved into in his psychology in, the episode Listen, as I mentioned before. Because whatever he imagines is the most terrifying thing. And more often than not, there are terrifying things that he has to face, but if there is nothing there that he has to face, then he only has to face whatever he's imagining in his own head that is the most terrifying thing. And if something terrifies the Doctor, then you really should be scared. So, that's a very interesting idea. Is it an interesting answer, or is it bullshit? I'm not quite sure myself. Any more questions? Just so we know. No? Oh, that's good. So, this is over then. Wasn't too hard, I guess. I should have done this much sooner. I don't know why I put it off for so long. I'm just an idiot who is now talking into a bottle like he's Darth Vader. Luke, I am your father. I have a lovely pair of coconuts. Now, I'm supposed to tag people, aren't I? Yes. Who do I tag? I have not a clue, because I'm not sure who will actually watch this video, if anyone at all. Whoever does, I'm really thankful that you are. And sorry for having bored the tits off you, but fuck it, I'll tag anyone who watches this. If you want to do it, please do go ahead and do so, at your own discretion. Plus, that does save me from making the mistake of accidentally saying someone's name wrong. Am I right, Caroline? Am I? Anyway, thank you for watching, and thanks for the tag, Caroline. And off you go, Pons. I'm saying that because I already used up the usage of Geronimo and Allons-y, so I should have saved it for the ending. It would have been much more fitting. Oh well, I can't do endings. That's just the way it goes. Yes, so it goes. Hey, Slaughterhouse-5 reference. Also involves time travel, in a way. What am I even doing now? I don't know. Just go. Editing. Stop me from rambling for fuck.